We were talking about similar polygons, and we want to use proportions to identify similar polygons, and we want to solve problems using the properties of similar polygons. So the first thing we need to talk about is the difference between signs. So equal sign we're very familiar with, even before we came into geometry, and that's what an equal sign looks like. Congruent sign we may not have been familiar with, but now we know that the congruent sign is an equal sign, and it has a little squiggly mark on top. And then similar is just the squiggly mark there. So we're introducing a new sign that we're going to use and talk about how shapes can be similar. So two polygons are similar if the polygons have the same number of sides, corresponding angles are congruent, corresponding sides are proportional. So number one, are these two figures similar? So first check, do the polygons have the same number of sides? So for this one, yes. Both polygons are triangles. Okay, next one we have here is, are corresponding angles congruent? So we have angle R is congruent to angle N because they both have one mark there. And then we have angle Q is congruent to angle S. And then last, we have angle P is congruent to angle T. And these have to be congruent because if these two angles are congruent and these two angles are congruent, this last angle has to be congruent. So we have angle T is congruent to angle P. So because all three angles are congruent, then this is yes. And then the last thing we need to check are, our corresponding sides are proportional. Okay. So this one can get a little bit tricky, but basically, in order for this to be proportional, you have to have the big side of the big triangle compared to the big side of the little triangle. So if we're looking at this triangle on the left, which side is the biggest? And that's going to be NP. So we can say NP, and that's going to be 15. And we want to see, what is that going to be over? What's that value going to be? So NP was the largest here. That's going to be RT. In RT, the value is 12. So 15 divided by 12, that's going to be 1.25. And we're checking for corresponding sides right now. So we checked 15 with 12. The next one that's going to usually be a little bit easier to find is the smallest. So between 10 and 9.2, what is the smallest? It's 9.2. And between 11.5 and 12.5, 11.5 is the smallest. So then we can go from P to Q. And that's going to be 11.5. So 11.5 is the smallest. So which over here is the smallest? That's going to be 9.2. And we did PQ, so this one's going to be TS. And we can type that in our calculator, and we still get 1.25. And then the next one that we can check, our last side is QN. And that's going to be 12.5. So QN is going to be to SR. And that is going to be 10. And that is also 1.25. So we can go back and check. Polygons have the same number of sides. Yes. The corresponding angles are congruent. Yes. Corresponding sides are proportional. Yes, because their scale factor all came out the same. So for number 3, that is going to be a yes also. So the last thing we have to do is we have to write the triangle similarity statement. And the easiest way to do is just to count the marks that you use for your angles. So this triangle, the larger triangle here, is go 1, 2, 3. Or we can say N, Q, triangle NQP. So there was one mark on N. If we look over here, which one has one mark on it? That's R. So N and R have to be named in the same order. So Q has 2. So we're looking for the one that has 2. So that's going to be S. And then the last value is T. So triangle NQP is similar to triangle RST by those 3 steps that we've shown up there.